the screen's black, and so am I. So there you go. Anyway, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I was done setting stuff up because I was looking at a couple articles, and hey, happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Now, I can't be real loud today, so I'm going to put the mic a little bit close to my mouth because there are guests sleeping in my home, and a guest, a special guest, is sleeping in my home because my mother is in town. So I'm going to try to keep it reasonably rant-free, which, who knows how it's going to go today, because we're going to be talking about education today. And I just got to tell you, I'm going to be, I'm just prepared to be annoyed with some of these articles we're going through, but some of them are actually make me happy. So we'll just see how it goes today. But anyway, real quick, before I even get started, we have our first sponsor of the day, and I greatly appreciate it. I guess I'll have to read it carefully. I think I know who this is from just by the verbiage, but thank you, Combined Armed Services, who donated this morning and is sponsoring the show. Quote, "When you need arms to put commies in their place, look no further than Combined Arms. From tanks, APC, aircraft to small arms, we have it all. Our motto is, when in doubt, always double tap, and it should be yours as well. All ammo, 50% off this week." Well, that is a sponsor. That's what I call a sponsor. Okay, and I got a feeling that Gunfox 61.
You are the new Streamlabs sponsor of the day.
Let me try that again. Well, how'd that get turned down? Let's try this again. Gunfox 61.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you, Combined Armed Services, our first sponsor of the day. By the way, if you want to make a creative sponsor like that, I'm more than happy to put the money in the coffers that keep this show going. So sponsor the show either through Streamlabs or YouTube SuperChats if you want to give 30% to Susan, or a couple other options down below, which I haven't really checked lately. I'm not sure. I should probably check those to make sure no one's been doing the sponsoring the show through those means. But anyway, welcome to the show. I'm happy you're here. It's Wednesday, and we're going to talk about some education topics today. I'm kind of going theme today, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, I hear people stirring upstairs. Anyway, so we'll be back right after the intro. Johnny, play the intro, please. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. All right, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Wednesday, the 6th of October, 2021. A day in which we decide we're going to talk a little bit about education because, well, there's always stupid to go around, and there's plenty of it this morning, but there's a couple good stories about education, so we're just going to stick to that theme today. And then I do got a couple breaking news stories that we may get to because, the FBI and Merrick Garland are concentrating on things that are really important, like domestic terrorism and other things like that, which we'll get to that too. Well, let's start with that actually, because I found. Wait, hang on. Let me move a couple tabs here so they keep them in order. I'll move this over there. The reason the reason I decided to do education as a topic today is because this thing I saw yesterday, it was actually from a couple days ago. But wait. I'm sorry. I must be remiss. Before I even get started, I got to say good morning, everybody. I got to take the pin thing down there. By the way, share the stream, hit the like button during the show if you like it, and you can sponsor the show. There's information down there on how to do it, or you can just go to PDawgKnight.live and watch the show from there, and the little donation thing's right up in the upper right-hand corner. You can sponsor the show and watch the show from the same place, so that's up to you. Let's do this. Hello, oh, and goodbye. Desert Tramp. Are you leaving already? Did I say, is it something I said? Oh, no. Anyway, okay, so let's say good morning to everyone in the chat real quick before I get started. First in the chat today was our... Oh, wait, what happened here? My chat jumped. Oh, well, anyway, I know who was here first, and so I'm going to make sure that I credit the right person. Yes, our friend Richo from Down Under was the first one here, and you get the bell. Thank you, Richo, for being here and being prompt and early. And it's so early in the morning for Richo. I know getting up this early is really a challenge just to watch the show. Okay, we know that you stayed up all night. Anyway, so now everyone else is not going to be in any particular order. Good morning also to Jonathan Peterson, Jesse Leon, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, good morning, Gunfox61, Advocatus Diablo, the Devil's Advocate, Renee Mayette. Good morning also to Let's Go, Brandon. Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadians in the house. Cigar Chomping Penguin in the house. I was having trouble saying that. Define Staleman. Waiting for higher up. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Also, good morning, Three Force Yoda. Nice to see you. Good morning, All You Need. Welcome back. Nice to have you back. Good morning, Aaron Meredith. Select a boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning to who am I talking to? Special Can Acid. Keenan's in the house. Who else is here? TC. What's happening? Good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Also, good morning to, I got everybody. Lord Stanhope's in the house. Fox P2. Desert Tramp, who says hello and goodbye. Now I feel bad, Desert Tramp. Oh, you're getting ready for work. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I appreciate you dropping in. Good morning also to Renee Mayette, Special K on Acid, James Barber, and that's everyone who I can see so far. If you're working, lurking, driving, thriving, be careful on the roads. If you're listening, don't necessarily, I don't do anything exciting visually here other than my beautiful moving background. So don't get caught up on what you see. Just listen to what you hear. Although occasionally the videos that we show have silly stuff in it, but that's okay. Anyway, today we're going to focus a little bit on education because, first of all, the title says domestic terrorists, and that's because if you remember a few days ago, the National School Boards Association, oh shoot, hang on a second, I got to make sure I can see it. There we go. The National School Board Association dropped this letter to Joe Biden. To the Honorable Joe Biden, President of the United States, a very important letter from the National School Board Association. And I'll just get to a couple parts of this, where they said, "Dear Mr. President, America's public schools and its education leaders are under an immediate threat. The National School Board Association respectfully asks for federal law enforcement and other assistance to deal with the growing number of threats of violence and acts of intimidation occurring across the nation. Local school board members want to hear from their communities on important issues, and that must be at the forefront of good school board governance and promotion of free speech. However, there also must be safeguards to protect public schools and dedicated education leaders as they do their jobs." That sounds very serious. That's very serious. The NSBA believes immediate assistance is required to protect our students, school board members, and educators. Wait a minute. What? Protect our students? That does sound serious. And educators who are susceptible to acts of violence affecting interstate commerce. What? because of threats to their districts, families, and personal safety. So, wait a minute. They're trying to... Here, let me... give me a second here. Thank you, Baby Vazo, for sponsoring the show this morning, who says, looking through the independent left channels, what you'll find is they talk more about how irrelevant Orange Man is, racist loser, and that they still talk more about him than Corn Pop and his pet hyena. I've never... Okay, that's the first time I've heard her referred to as a pet hyena, but that's an interesting way to put it. Anyway, if they just came out and made Orange TV, it'd be successful. Isn't CNN already Orange TV still? Anyway, thank you, Baby Ponza, for sponsoring the show. So wait a minute. So they, in their letter, they invoke the idea of interstate commerce regarding school boards. Now that's a stretch, but anyway, he says they continue. Our school boards continue coronavirus recovery operations within their respective districts. They are also persevering against other challenges that could impede this progress in a number of communities, coupled with attacks against school board members. Now, I am curious because you would think the way our news media portrays things, that anything that goes against any least, I'll just say it, Democrat narrative, that if there were actual attacks, physical attacks on school board members, do you think we'd hear about it? Do you think it'd be national news? Do you think it would be viral on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere else that the normal main channels of communication in this country? That's funny. I haven't seen any. Have you? If you've seen them, let me know. I'm curious. So, real quick, thank you. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
For sponsoring the show, and Black Hebrew Israelite.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the
day. Thank you very much. Black Hebrew Israelite says, it's funny how BLM burning down cities and killing black people was accepted from an accepted form of protest. Parents telling pedo school boards to stop abusing our children is now domestic terrorism by the FBI.
That's right.
The tree of liberty will be refreshed soon. Oh, my goodness.
That's right.
Well, according to these school boards, just yelling at school board members is kind of refreshing. You're drawing blood from the school board members. It's embarrassing. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, for sponsoring the show. I appreciate you. All right. So I'm continuing this. Coupled with attacks against school board members and educators for approving policies for masks to protect the health and safety of students. Oh, see, they got to make it sound tear-jerking. And school employees, many public school officials are also facing physical threats, really, because of propaganda. Oh, opposing the school boards, or what they're doing is propaganda. By the way, good morning, Johnny Hellcat, the original viewer of the Morning Night Live, and also Maddie's in the house. Nice to have you here. This letter's amazing. We might just go through this whole thing. Coupled with attacks on school board members educate for approving policies for masks to protect the health and safety of the children and school employees, many public school officials are also facing physical threats because of propaganda purporting the false inclusion of critical race theory within classroom instruction and curricula. So if the people are coming out to oppose what they will not call critical race theory, but in some cases clearly is, and also the intersectionality bullshit that goes on, that is domestic terrorism. Purporting the false inclusion of critical race theory within classroom instruction and curricula. This propaganda continues despite the fact that critical race theory is not taught in public schools and remains a complex law school and graduate school subject well beyond the scope of a K-12 class. Holy shit. Okay, so they're not teaching it as a subject, but they're including anytime you get into the intersectionality and also the idea that there are oppressors and oppressed, which they are teaching in schools, even if they don't call it critical race theory. It comes from that school of thought. Real quick, thank you, Baby Vaso, for sponsoring the show again. And Baby Vaso, guess what?
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you very much. He says, Baby Vaso says, my mother is constantly at war with her family as they like posting their liberal losses online. And when I question her on it, she says, shred rather than lose them as family. Or she says shed. I'm not sure what that means. Rather than lose them as family. She'd rather lose them as family than let them be controlled by Satan. Should I leave her be? Is it a losing battle? Look, family is family. And you just, sometimes you have to just learn to make some subjects off limits. Okay, that's what I do with some of my family who I love my family, and regardless of what their political beliefs are, I think that it's important. It's important to respect your family and love your family, and you just got to learn how to just make some. If you make some topics off limits and make sure they're your family. That's the way I put it. And I do that in my own world. I have some family members who are polar opposites. And in fact, including my mother and my mom, they're polar opposite to me when it comes to politics. So we don't talk about those subjects. We don't talk about them because they're not that important to not love your family. So that's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. Thank you, Baby Vaso, for continuing to sponsor the show. I greatly appreciate you. And also, good morning, Data Wasteland. Nice to see you in the chat. Okay. Critical race theory is not a complex subject at all. It is actually overly simplistic. Oh, it truly is. It's it's really simplistic, and they make it the idea that they're not teaching in schools. Okay, yes, they're not teaching the legal aspect of critical race theory, but as far as teaching the oppressors and oppressed, it's in every school. And in fact, we've had teachers talk about that. The teacher we talked about yesterday, who's getting harassed in her district because of the things they've introduced. Anyway, okay, so here, let's see. On behalf of our state associations and the more than 90,000 school board members who govern our country's 14,000 local public school districts, educating more than 50 million children, NSBA appreciates your leadership to end the proliferation of COVID-19 in our communities, in our school districts, to end it. Yeah, it's not ending, it's endemic, but they'll figure that out eventually, that it is endemic. We also appreciate the recent discussion with the White House and U.S. Department of Education staff on many critical issues facing public schools, including threats school officials are receiving. Yeah. This letter is 4 pages long, 5 pages long. Anyway, what they're doing is they're accusing parents who come to school board meetings with a different view of what the school board is doing. And they are claiming that they're domestic terrorists. I think it's right here in the letter. In addition, we applaud your actions to restore resources to school districts that have not yet received their education stabilization funding through the Project SAFE, Supporting America's Families and Educators grant program for coronavirus recovery efforts, including the use of face masks and other precautions to help prevent. There it is again. Prevent the stupid 19 infections among students and educators. Now we ask that the federal government, here's the part that we're going to get into. Now we ask that the federal government investigate, intercept, and prevent the current threats and acts of violence against our public school officials through existing statutes, executive authority, interagency and intergovernmental task forces, and other extraordinary measures to ensure the safety of our children and educators, to protect interstate commerce. Okay, I am just dumbfounded by the interstate commerce thing they're invoking here. What interstate commerce does your local school board participate in? No idea. No idea. And to preserve public school infrastructure and campuses. Okay, like what does the federal government have to do that? Schools are locally run, locally managed, locally decisions are made locally. What does the federal government have to do with your local school boards? Oh, is it because the National School Board Association is national, so now they call it interstate commerce? You guys are nuts. While local and state law enforcement agencies are working with public school officials in several communities to prevent further disruptions to educational services and district operations, law enforcement officials in some jurisdictions need assistance, including help with monitoring the threat levels as these threats and acts of violence become more prevalent. Where? I need to fix my damn X to doubt thing. More prevalent where? What are this nonsense talking about? During the public, more prevalent during public school board meetings. Via documented threats transmitted through the U.S. Postal Service, through social media and other online platforms, and around personal properties. NSBA respectfully asks that a joint collaboration among federal law enforcement agencies, state and local law enforcement, and with public school officials be undertaken to focus on these threats. NSBA specifically solicits the expertise and resources of the U.S. Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Secret Service, and National Threat Assessment Center. U.S. Secret Service, what is this? The Secret Service has nothing whatsoever to do with public schools. The Secret Service has a very specific mission, okay? Has to do with protecting politicians and money. Basically, that's all they do. Okay, they have nothing to do with your local school board. Regarding the level of risk to public school children, so that's funny because what they're really complaining about here is that their parents coming to school board meetings, voicing their concerns, and they want to say that it causes a public risk to school children and the educators. Really? Really? Good morning, Keenan, by the way. Yeah, this is the words are violent crowd. Exactly. Thank you, Keenan. By the way, good morning, and also good morning, Asian Research Directorate. This is amazing. Who came up with this? I want to know who came up with this letter. We also request the assistance of U.S. Postal Inspection Service to intervene against threatening letters and cyberbullying attacks that have been transmitted to students, school board members, district administrators, and other educators. To students? Really? You don't think a threat to students would make national news? Have you heard it in the news? You think it wouldn't be on the top story on CNN and MSNBC and ABC News and CBS News and NBC and CNN, MSNBC and the New York Times and the Washington Post and Los Angeles Times and the Chicago Tribune? You don't think that would be a top story? If there were threats to students by parents out there yelling at school board members, there are direct threats to students? Wow. As these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased, public school officials, you mean the people coming to talk to school boards about what you're teaching and the bullshit they're finding in libraries? Are you kidding me? Thank you, Baby Vaso, for donating for another donation. Who says, with a bullet, thank you. Says FBI sure does like screwing with the public, almost as if they got nothing left to do and they're tired of playing Call of Duty all day. That's funny. Thank you again for sponsoring the show. Okay, so these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased. The classification of these heinous actions. Was there a shooting at a school board meeting? These acts, classification of these heinous actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Really? Hate crimes. Now, I always thought hate crimes. I always thought hate crimes, as far as the prevalent logic behind hate crimes, regarded things like, what's a word? Protected classes. Now, are we saying that school boards should be protected classes? Is that what they're saying here? I don't get it. Hate crimes. As such, NSBA requests a joint expedited review of the U.S. Department of Justice, Education, and Homeland Security, along with the appropriate training, coordination, investigations, and enforcement mechanisms from the FBI, including any technical assistance necessary from and state and local coordination with its National Security Branch and Counterterrorism Division, as well as any other federal agency with relevant jurisdiction, authority, and oversight. Additionally, NSBA requests that such a review examine appropriate enforceable actions against these crimes and acts of violence under the Gun-Free School Zones Act. What? Oh my God. The Patriot Act, okay, remember those of us who were saying the Patriot Act was a bad idea because it's going to be starting used domestically. Here we go. Remember all you liberals who said, oh, no, the Patriot Act is a bad idea. Is it right? Is it right now? Good morning, Renovatio. I don't know why you retracted that message, but maybe that was one of those YouTube things because sometimes they just leave. You may have to reword it. Oh my God. In regards to domestic terrorism, the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act, the Violent Interference with Federally Protected Rights Statute, the Conspiracy Against Rights Statute, an executive order to enforce all applicable federal laws for preclusion of further threats and violence against students and educators. I'm sorry. That's for the protection of students and public school district personnel. Again, school board is not public school district personnel. The students are not on the school board. They're mad because people are coming in, parents are coming and making their voices heard at school board meetings. That's what they're mad about. And listen to what they're okay. I can't stop reading this. I'm sorry. We're going to go through the whole damn thing because this is amazing to me. Good morning, Rotten Corpse. How you doing? We're going to go through this whole thing because this is crazy. This is, here, I got a question. I'm going to put it in a little survey. Does this sound insane to you? There's the poll. Holy shit. Okay, so protection of student public school. As the threats grow and news of extremist hate organization. Now they're saying extremist hate organizations showing up at school board meetings is being reported. This is critical time for proactive approach to deal with this difficult issue. Okay, extremist hate organizations showing up at school board meetings. There's my X to doubt since I can't play it anymore. Okay, now, here again, these threats or actual acts of violence against our school districts, against our what? Are impacting the delivery of educational services to students and families, as many districts receive federal funds and subsidies for services to millions of students with disabilities, health screenings and supplemental supports for disadvantaged students, child nutrition, broadband connectivity, educator development, school safety activities, career and technical education, and more. School board meetings have been disrupted in California, Florida, Georgia, and other states because of local directives for mask coverings to protect students and educators from Stupid 19. So the parents have no say. The parents have no say. And if you come to a school board meeting, you are now a member of a hate group. You are now a domestic terrorist because you don't like something that your school board is doing. If you have a book in your school library that depicts a 10-year-old boy giving blowjobs to old men, as something normal with illustrations, you are just, and you don't want that book in your school library, regardless if it's in the high school library or not. The pedophilia, nah, you cannot. If you come to the school board meeting, you are a domestic terrorist. That's what they're saying. Good morning, Brett Hayes. How you doing? Holy smokes, this is amazing. Now. An individual was arrested in Illinois for aggravated battery and disorderly conduct during a school board meeting. During two separate school board meetings in Michigan, an individual yelled a Nazi salute in protest to masking requirements. Okay, let's talk about, I know a little bit about that incident. The so-called Nazi salute that the person yelled in protest to masking requirements, because they were claiming the school board were Nazis, not because it was somebody who was a Nazi. And another individual prompted the board to call a recess because of opposition to critical race theory. Oh no! The school board had to call a recess because someone was mad about teaching critical race theory. Oh my God, they had to call a recess. Oh, the horror. Where's my fainting towel? Where's my fainting couch? Please get me a therapy animal. Please. I don't know. Oh my God. They had to call a recess because of opposition to something that they were doing. Oh my Lord. Oh my gosh. Now, if there was an individual arrested for aggravated battery and disorderly conduct during a school board meeting, I believe that was when, I'm pretty sure that was the one where the school board asked, they demanded that this person be taken out they asked security taken out. I think he fought back, and so then he got charged with aggravated battery. And I'm pretty sure those charges were dropped. Let's see. In fact, let's see. Let's see, 8. WGM, men and man arrested following disruptions. In fact, we'll look that up. Copy. We'll go into DuckDuckGo. Paste. And here's the article. Let's just look at this one. In Illinois, a man was arrested Wednesday night for aggravated battery and disorderly conduct following disruption at a Mendon Board of Education meeting at Unity High School, according to the Adams County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Rich Wagner reported Thursday that Alex Feld, 30, had been removed from the board meeting and had been involved in some type of physical altercation at the school. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. So had been removed. Okay, Sheriff Wagner stated school officials attempted to escort Field out of the meeting when he struck one of them before leaving the school. So they physically manhandled him out of the building, and he fought back. See, notice how they made it sound like it was an attack on them. It's God. In New Jersey, Ohio, and other states, anti-mask proponents are inciting chaos during board meetings. You mean they're protesting. They're protesting, inciting chaos. Oh, they're protesting. In Virginia, an individual was arrested, another man was ticketed for trespassing, and a third person was hurt during a school board meeting discussion. Oh, a third person was hurt? I wonder how they were hurt. During a school board meeting discussion distinguishing current curricula from critical race theory and regarding equity issues. When you hear the word equity, what should you do, fans and watchers? Run away. In other states, including Washington, Texas, Wisconsin, Wyoming, Tennessee, school boards have been confronted by angry mobs. You mean parents wanting to voice their opinion, and when you shut them down, they get mad? Forced to end meetings abruptly because the meetings were being, oh my God. A resident of Alabama proclaimed himself as vaccine police, has called the school administration while filming himself on Facebook Live. Oh, the horror. He called the school administrators and he filmed himself doing it, probably mocking you for the bullshit they told you over the phone. Oh man, I want to go through all these stories, but I can't. It's just too much. Anyway, other groups are poaching what? Oh, this is rich. Other groups are posting watch lists against school boards and spreading misinformation that boards are adopting critical race theory curriculum and working to maintain online learning by haphazardly attributing it to Stupid 19. Okay, you've seen all the stories. In Ohio, an individual mailed a letter to a school board member labeling the return address on the envelope from a local neighborhood association and then enclosing threatening hate mail from the other entity. This correspondent states, "We are coming after you and all the members on the school board." Meaning, okay, wait a minute. Okay, hang on. This is entry number 21. Let's see what this one is. TPUSA launches project targeting school board members. Let's try this one. No, that's 20. 21. Disturbing Worthing school board member receives a threat for masks in schools. Let's try this one. Let's see what this one is. Oh, this is such crap. I didn't plan on doing this today. I have a lot more to go, but it's all going to be about schools today. If you're not interested, I'm sorry. I'll get back to normal news another day. Okay, here it is. I want to see what the letter says, though. Threatening letters are being sent to several school board members in Central Ohio after those districts initiated new Stupid 19 safety guidelines in classrooms. Some districts also had to step up security at school board meetings. One letter sent to the Worthington Board of Education was addressed to a board member, Nikki Hudson specifically. That letter, Hudson herself shared on Facebook, started with, "We are coming after you." It went on to claim that pain and suffering has been inflicted on our children regarding the subject of critical race theory and wearing masks at school for no reason in this world other than control. The letter is now under investigation by police. Sharing the letter, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to guess that they're coming for your seats in the school board. I'm sure probably, "We're coming after your jobs. We're going to vote you out. We're going to get rid of you. You suck." It's probably a "you suck" letter. Okay. Anyway. So this is the end of the letter here. Let's see. The hate mail continues by stating, "You are forcing them to wear masks for no reason in this world under control." Okay, they just took it out of the article. "And for that, you will pay dearly." Yeah, you will. You're going to lose your job. You going to lose your job. Check this dance. You going to lose your job. Check this dance. Okay, the poll's over. It's insane to me. Anyway. Okay, you're forcing... Among other incendiaries, this same threat also calls the school board member a filthy traitor, implies loss of pension funds, and labels the school board as Marxist. Okay, and earlier this month, a student in Tennessee was mocked during a school board meeting for advocating masks in school after testifying that his grandmother, who was an educator, died because of Stupid 19. Okay, that's cruel and whatever, but okay, is that a terrorist activity? Is that a terrorist activity? I'm getting loud. I shouldn't be getting loud. These threats of active violence are affecting the nation's democracy at the very foundational level, causing school board members, many who are not paid, to resign immediately and or discontinue their service after their respective terms. Good. You need to resign. Okay? Parents don't want you. How about you? Further, this increasing violence, again, did you see examples of violence in this letter? Okay, now, again, the one person that way, if you read the article, you see that he was being probably dragged out by security and probably wanted them to get their hands off of him. Okay. The other so-called violence was someone yelled at somebody and someone wrote a letter that says you're going to lose your job. This increasing violence. Again, whoever said words are violence earlier, right on. Further, this increasing violence is a clear and present danger to civic participation, which other citizens who have been contemplating service as either an elected or appointed school board member, I don't want any appointed school board members anymore. I want them elected, have reconsidered their decision. Good. Okay, don't let the door hit you in the ass. NSBA believes public discussion and transparency by local school board members are important for the safe and effective operation of the schools. It is vital that public discourses be encouraged in a safe and open environment, unless you disagree with them, unless you don't like what they're doing, in which varying viewpoints can be offered in a peaceful manner. Really? Because anytime someone comes into those school board meetings, at least I'm seeing, not anytime, there's thousands of school boards across the country, but I'm seeing in a lot of these cases, anytime someone wants to come in, and if you get a group of parents who want to come in and talk about a particular subject that they're seeing in their schools, school board members don't want to hear it. They want to shut people down. You've seen it, especially like that in Fairfax, Virginia, the London County school board or whatever, they love to shut down dissension. Our children are watching the examples of the current debates, and we must encourage a positive dialogue, even with different opinions. However, with such acute threats, again, they are laying it on thick, and actions that are disruptive to our student well-being, to the safety of public school officials and personnel, and to interstate commerce. Again, they keep bringing up this interstate commerce. That's why so here's the thing. They keep invoking interstate commerce because that's the only way the FBI probably can get involved in something like this. These are local issues to local schools. It's not interstate commerce, okay? But they said it over and over again because they want federal help on this. And they also invoked like all the reasons why, the schools get federal money for this and this and that and this and that, because they want the federal government to intervene on local school board issues, which that's the only way they can do it. Interstate commerce, my God, it's embarrassing. However, such acute threats are disruptive to our students' well-being, for the safety of public school officials, personnel, and interstate commerce, we urge the federal government's intervention against individuals or hate groups, again, invoking hate groups. Okay, parents, so now your parents are hate groups now. Who are targeting our schools and educators. The NSBA is committed to working with you and your administration, blah, 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 blah. In this, Violet M. Garcia and Chip Slavin, President and Interim Executive Director and CEO. Well, real quick, thank you, Maddie. Maddie says, for sponsoring the show through Streamlabs, I appreciate you. Maddie says, when it's only free speech when they agree with it. It's not really free speech. When it's only free speech when they agree with it, it's not really free speech. When protesting is terrorism, when it goes against the narrative is the terrorists. The narrative is the terrorist. When you protect your kids, you're terrorists, not them. You're terrorists, not them. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just crazy. And also, thank you, Baby Vaso. Losing your job for not taking the jab, it's for the good of the mankind. Losing your job for forcing ideas people don't want you teaching children, that's terroristic tyranny. Yeah, that's true too. Thank you, Baby Vaso, and thank you, Maddie, for sponsoring the show today. Appreciate it. All right, let's. So we're gonna move on because apparently, there's this letter and this theme that they're coming up with seems to be getting results, because our Attorney General Merrick Garland, and the reason I brought on this topic today, is directing the FBI to target parents for harassment and intimidation. First of all, we know the FBI has no jurisdiction whatsoever in these issues, these local school boards. But apparently, the fact that this National School Board something association, maybe them invoking the Interstate Commerce Clause got some results. By the way, good morning, K-Shaw and Tyler F. Garland directs FBI to target parents for harassment and intimidation. Attorney General Merrick Garland called on the FBI to quote, use its authority, end quote, against parents who threaten or use violence against public school officials in a Monday memorandum. Garland said here, I'll put the memorandum out here. Garland said there has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. He said he is directing the FBI to work with each U.S. attorney and leaders in each federal judicial district to discuss strategy to address threats within 30 days of his statement. The Department of Justice memorandum did not specify what it classifies as a crime and did not immediately respond to the Daily Caller's News Foundation's request for clarification on the matter. Garland's statement follows a letter from the National School Board Association, which we just read, that asked the federal government to get involved in the immediate threat of violence from parents faced by American public schools and its education officials. The NSBA said the incidents could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crime. And hate crimes. Now, quote, it's shameful that activists are weaponizing the U.S. Department of Justice against parents. Nicole Neely, president of Parents Defending Education, told the Daily Caller News Foundation in response to the memorandum. Good for her. It's true. This is a coordinated attempt to intimidate dissenting voices in the debates surrounding America's underperforming K-12 education, and it will not succeed. We will not be silenced, and nor should they be. So anyway, I did open the letter here. It's right here it'll be in the tabs. His memorandum here. It's only a one page here. Well, here, let's just read it. Hey, here's what Merrick Garland wrote to the director of here's who he sent it to. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Director Executive Office for the U.S. Attorney's Assistant Attorney General, Criminal Division, United States Attorney. So they're criminalizing being mad at a school board meeting. Fascinating. In recent months, there has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. Your jurisdiction, not. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, that protection does not extend to threats of violence and efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Really? I guess he's never seen a protest outside of a school board meeting. He must not have been paying attention to anything. Threats against public servants are not only illegal, they run counter to our nation's core values. Those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper indoctrination in a safe environment. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. I apologize. Those who dedicate their time and energy in ensuring that our children receive a proper education in a safe environment deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. The department takes these incidents seriously and is committed to using its authority and resources to discourage these threats, identify them when they occur, and prosecute them when appropriate. Wow. Now, why would the federal government be prosecuting anything that has to do with a local school board meeting? Wouldn't that be your state law enforcement officials' purview and jurisdiction? What is their jurisdiction here? Amazing. The department, in the coming days, the department will announce a series of measures designed to address the rise in criminal conduct directed towards school personnel. Again, why is this the FBI's and Department of Justice's jurisdiction? Coordination and partnership with local law enforcement, is critical to implementing these measures for the benefit of our nation's nearly 14,000 public school districts. To this end, I am directing the Federal Bureau of Investigation, working with each U.S. state's attorney to convene meetings with federal, local, state, tribal, and territorial leaders in each federal judicial district within 30 days of the issuance of this memorandum. These meetings will facilitate the discussion of strategies for addressing threats against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff, and will open dedicated lines of communications for threat reporting, assessment, and response. You will comply. You will do what our school boards tell your children to do, and you will not question our school boards, or you will be under threat of federal investigation. How about that? How about that? Isn't that special? So you can read the rest of that article. Now, there has been a response by a judge in some of these cases, and this is fantastic. For Epic, remember that label, that letter, or excuse me, not the judge. This is not the one about the judge. There's another one about that. But remember that letter that we just read? We just read it. Hello, Teresa the Kid. Good morning. The letter we just read, and also Will It Forge. What's happening? So 427,000 parents have responded to the National School Board Association labeling them domestic terrorists. So apparently there must be some kind of a feedback thing. Last week we covered this morning we covered the hysterical and threatening letter written by the National School Board Association President Viola Garcia. In the letter sent none other than to President Joe Biden, Garcia accused America's concerned parents of threats, intimidation, and even hate crimes rising to the level of domestic terrorism for having the gall to speak up at their local school board meetings. The NSBA also requested federal assistance to stop threats and acts of violence against school board members and school officials and teachers, as we just read. Well, this week, however, the leaders of almost 24 parents' organizations fired back with a scathing letter of their own, and it is epic. The letter, I'm going to go through this one because I forgot to open that, written on the behalf of members of several parent organizations, made clear that the NSBA's claim of hate and terrorism were shameful. Here's an excerpt. You can read the letter for yourself. You can read the whole thing. There's a couple of excerpts in here that are pretty good. NSBA cites a tiny number of minor incidents in order to insinuate that parents who are criticizing and protesting the decisions of school boards are engaging in or may be engaging in domestic terrorism and hate crimes. NSBA, the National School Board Association, even invokes the Patriot Act. The association of legitimate protest with terrorism and violence reveals both your contempt for parents and your unwillingness to understand and hear the sincere cries of parents on behalf of their children. To equate parents with terrorists dishonors the thousands of victims of actual terrorism around the world. Have you no shame? The parent organization points out that the NSBA's call for the federal government to use its power against parents was itself a menacing and thinly veiled threat intended to intimidate into silence and submission the very constituents that the school board members ostensibly represent. I mean, what else would you call asking the president to sic the Department of Justice, the FBI, Homeland Security, the Secret Service Assessment Center, and the Postal Service on America's parents? Well, there's one thing you'd call it. Bullshit. By contrast, America's parent organizations unequivocally oppose violence and are made up of not domestic terrorists, but concerned citizens who care deeply about their community's children and who are concerned by the direction that America's schools have taken. It's no secret many parents across the country are angry with what's happening or not happening in our taxpayer-funded schools. True? Quote, citizens are angry that school boards and school officials around the country are restricting access to public meetings, limiting public comment, and in some cases conducting business via text messages in violation of state open meetings laws. They are angry that schools are charging them thousands of dollars in public records requests to view curriculum and training materials that impact their children and should be open to the public by default. They are angry that pandemic-related learning losses have compounded the already low reading, writing, and math proficiency rates in America. Parents are ultimately angry that rather than working to improve student achievement so our children actually learn in our country's schools, a large number of districts have chosen to fund, often with hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer money, social justice and diversity, equity, and inclusion programs with finite resources. It is very revealing that instead of listening to and addressing the concerns of parents, that the NSBA chose to smear their constituents rather than engage them in good faith. Ding! The concerns of parents are, of course, due to the leftist policies embraced and implemented by school boards that are supposedly accountable to the parents of their respective districts. Quote, it is appalling that the National School Board Association would choose to threaten your fellow Americans for having the courage to hold you accountable for your failures, said the parent organization. We will not be bullied. We will not have our speech chilled. We have a constitutional right to petition our elected officials, and we will continue to do so in order to address and improve the quality of American public education for all children. And as they say here, bravo to America's parents, grandparents, and concerned citizens for not being intimidated by the NSBA's shameful tactics and for putting America's children first in the face of blatant leftist bullying. Yeah, that's some bullying bullshit, and fuck Eric Garland. I'm sorry. Oh, I got a little heated there. If you want to read their late letter here, it's all in this right here with several parents groups signing on to this, and good for them. The unbelievable turn of events. It's insanity. I'm gonna move this closer over here so you can to the beginning. Also, we're gonna stick with education today since that's the theme today. Exactly who or what is the National School Board Association? Interesting article in the American Thinker to talk about this group that we just read the letter from. So I'm willing to bet that before this week, most Americans, including parents whose kids are or were in public school, had never heard of the National School Boards Association. Me here, I'd never heard of it. When its president, though, wrote to Joe Biden suggesting that parents who complain about critical race theory, mask, and transgenderism are domestic terrorists, it popped up on the radar. And when the Department of Justice promptly agreed with that suggestion by promising to send FBI agents to become involved with local school boards, people started wondering just who or what the NSBA really is. Well, here's how they describe themselves. Quote, and I'll put a link to that too. The National School Board Association is a federation of state associations in the U.S. territory of Virgin Islands, I guess, and the territory of Virgin Islands, that represent locally elected school board officials serving approximately 51 million public school students, regardless of their disability, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or citizenship. Okay, hang on a second. Why did they add that? All they had to do is say they represent locally elected school board officials serving our nation's public schools. Why, regardless of disability, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, doesn't that include whoever's in your public schools? Working with and through our state association members, NSBA advocates for equity. Oh no. Again, say it with me. Whenever you hear the word equity, run away. in public education through school board leadership. Well, in many areas of the country, the MSBA has been failing miserably. Let's just put it that way. They claim to represent more than 90,000 local school board members. Those are big numbers. There's more, but you get the gist. It's a do-good lobbying organization for American public school boards. It's when you get into the details of exactly what constitutes doing good as far as the NSBA is concerned that you realize that it's a group completely dedicated to leftist policies. The word equity crops up repeatedly, and when you hear the word equity, run away. We've learned in the last decade, while the founders were concerned with equality, which means that all people are entitled to equal treatment under the law, along with a citizen's right to a voice in representative government, equity is different. Equity is a zero-sum game of winners and losers, with the government determining who wins and who loses. It pits groups against each other, treats individuals based on external immutable characteristics, glorifies victimhood, and generally is antithetical to a free people and a free society. The NSBA has a whole disquisition, I don't know what that means, on equity. Again, you could feel the critical race theory mindset oozing through the jargon. Quote, this is from the NSBA. We affirm in our actions that each student can, will, and shall learn. We recognize that based on factors including but not limited to disability, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status, students are often deprived of equitable education opportunities. Educational equity is the intentional allocation of resources, instruction, and opportunities according to need, requiring that discriminatory practices, prejudice, and beliefs can be identified and eradicated. You mean like kids who don't give a shit about school and just aren't going to learn no matter what you try? You mean kids who just don't give a fuck? Parents who just don't give a fuck? Is that what you mean? They should all have equity? They should all be treated the same? They should all end up with the same grade? Pass. They should all pass because that's equity. Everybody passes. That's equity. Everyone gets an A. That's equity. That's what equity is. If you want equality, opportunity, if you want people to thrive and people to want to, some are going to, you got to get out of this mindset that everyone's going to be the same. That's never going to happen. Never, ever, ever going to happen. Some people have greater desires. Some people have greater abilities. Some people have greater skills. Some people care. Some people don't care. Some people don't give a fuck. And you're never going to make them all equity. They're not going to be equal. You're never going to have equal people. You're never going to have people. Some people are just more motivated than others. You can't help it. Anyway, there's even a 26-page booklet, I'll link that, for, quote, reimagining school board leadership, actions for equity. When you hear the word equity, run away. Using mangled punctuation, the book asks board members to determine whether they are teaching the truth about American history from multiple perspectives. Slavery, white supremacy, Native American genocide, etc. That doesn't sound like multiple perspectives to me. Thank you, Baby Vaso, with another bullet in the donation and or sponsorship jar. Thank you, sir. Equity arose after a group of leftists lost a bet and were forced to learn what equity meant. It was then they knew they fucked. That they were fucked and began ditching the word. Yeah, because equality is basically y'all get the same chances. Y'all get the same school. You know what? Because everyone gets. Let's say there's a school, right? You got a school right here, this high school in Town X Americas. This is Town X High School, right? And in Town X High School, they offer English, math, science, and some elective courses. Maybe a place where you can learn how to cook, and one you can do how to saw wood, and one how to maybe change oil, and one where you can get some physical education and whatnot. So Town X High School is there for the entire community, and the entire community sends their children to Town X High School. And so that is known as equality, that everyone in the town who has kids have the opportunity to send their kids to Town X High School. Now, what your kids do at Town X High School, you cannot guarantee that they're all going to want to do the same thing, or decide that they like the same things, or they decide that they even care about the same things. And so when they go into Town X High School, they kind of, thrive in the little areas that they like, and some thrive in a lot more areas than others because they are really super motivated. And then some kids like focus on this area, and some focus on this area. That is equality of opportunity. You can't go into Town X High School and then have every kid come out to be exactly the same and proficient at all the exact same things, or have all the same. Everyone gets a C. Let's just say everyone at Town X High School gets a C. That's equity in everything. Anyway, God, it's just crazy. As always, this equity, when you hear the word equity, run away, doesn't extend to the board or the management. While this board president is Hispanic, and there's a sprinkling of blacks and Hispanics, the leadership is Lily White.
You're fucking a white male!
The NSBA's recommendation to the Biden administration could have been drafted by AOC and her squad. And they include, here's what the NS school board recommendation does. Here's their recommendations. Having Mrs. Joe Biden lead a task force, I think she meant task force, on public school transformation and equity. When you hear the word equity, run away. Request Stupid 19 money. Reverse Trump's 1776 advisory committee because it would harm efforts by many school districts to offer comprehensive and unbiased subject matter concerning American history. That would be the slavery, white supremacy, Native American genocide, etc., discussed above. Reinstating Obama's illegal DACA program. Rescinding Trump's order ending critical race theory training in schools. Well, why would they? Wait a minute. Why would you need to rescind Trump's order ending critical race theory in schools if they're not teaching in schools? Why would you need to rescind that? Because wouldn't that be moot if they weren't teaching in schools? I'm fascinated by this. How the hell would they be why would they want to end the order ending critical race theories in school? I could have, is it just me? Wasn't it in this letter that they said that they're not even teaching critical race theory? I'm so confused right now. Are you confused? I'm confused. I'm so confused. Hello, Check Your Logic. Hello, Fight for Your Rights. Hello, Rusty Shaq. Let's see. Here's what else they want. They want to rescind Trump's order enforcing federal law by prohibiting immigrants who are in a public charge. What? Okay, I don't know what that. I'm not sure what they mean there. Anyway. Also, they want to put pressure on schools to engage in race-based punishment. That is, students of one race cannot be punished more than those of another, even if they are misbehaving more. Well, that makes sense. Oh, opposing vouchers. Oh, and then protecting dreamers and promoting amnesty for illegal aliens. Now, I'm not really sure what that has to do with your public schools. What does that have to do with your public? I don't know. Anyway, you can wade through the NSB website yourself. You'll find yourself hip deep in Marxist jargon, anti-Americanism, support for illegal immigration, and critical race theory. There's a reason the Department of Justice instantly acquiesced to the NSBA's request to use FBI intimidation to silence parent opposition to school boards implementing radical policies. The Biden administration and the NSBA are reading from the same hymnal in the church of wokeness. Hey, how appropriate, because this is kind of Woke Wednesday, but anyway. So that's what the NSBA is all about. I did open links to their website here. You can read the About Us section here. And then I also opened this up here. The NSBA Reimagining School Board Leadership, Actions for Equity Supplemental Guide. I might, let's see, how long is this thing? Yeah, it's basically 23 pages. I'm so curious right now. It's just killing me. I want to go through it, but I don't have time. All right, here's a victory. Here's one victory out of a few incidents. Here's a victory as a judge sides with the London parents against prosecutor on a school board recall. So, a judge on Tuesday thwarted a far-left prosecutor who likely would have blocked citizens from recalling a London County School Board member, ruling that the process of recalling Beth Bartz, who was censured for repeatedly attacking parents, can proceed under a special prosecutor instead. Now, what's fascinating here, that NSB whatever thing, get off my screen, Candace Owens. Anyway, that letter, what did they say? She was censured for repeatedly attacking parents. Should the FBI check her out for acts of violence? After Bartz was stripped of her committee duties following partisan activism that frequently took the form of attacking parents, she summoned a mob of vigilantes in an anti-racist, quote-unquote, Facebook group who threatened to, quote, hack, end quote, opinionated parents, with a sheriff investigation concluding that the parents were largely put in the crosshairs for questioning the extended school closures pushed by teachers' unions. The Facebook group included several elected officials, including the county's top elected prosecutor, Buta Bubaraj. In Virginia, elected officials cannot be recalled by getting a certain number of signatures from voters. Rather, meeting that threshold triggers a trial in which the prosecutor argues to a judge that the elected official has taken actions that warrant removal, including misuse of office, neglect of duty, and incompetence. Bibaraj did not offer to recuse herself despite the apparent conflict of interest, which included participating in the Facebook group and tweeting the letter to the editor dismissing parents who sought a school board recall as rabble-rousers. So this Bibaraj was in the Facebook group that was, threatening to dox parents for their views and intimidating them. And she did not recuse herself. Well, Bibaraj won election in 2019 by a 1% margin after receiving more than $800,000 in help from George Soros. Her opponent, an incumbent Republican prosecutor, spent $150,000. In neighboring Fairfax last month, another progressive prosecutor decided simply to drop a recall case against a school board member despite citizens meeting the threshold without disclosing his apparent conflict of interest to the judge. Ian Pryor, executive director of the group called Fight for Schools that helped gather the recall signatures against Bart, told the Daily Wire that a judge heard 3 motions Tuesday and ruled in favor of the parents in all of them. Yes, that's good news. Beth Bartz was trying to dismiss the petitions, claiming the affidavit portion of it was invalid. Fight for Schools had a motion to intervene in the case and motion to dismiss Buta Bibaraj and appoint a special nonpartisan prosecutor. We won all motions, he said. The judge asked for about a week to appoint a special prosecutor. Then we move forward with the next phase of discovery and investigation with Fight for Schools as an intervener in the case. So they got rid of that, the partisan, fake prosecutor, and the judge ruled in favor of the parents. So good. Hopefully they'll be able to take their case, and I don't think they're doing anything wrong. So, yeah, this is that school board member. She made a Facebook page basically threatening to dox parents or whatever. Speaking of critical race theory and legal insurrection, a new database, Critical Race Theory Infiltrating America's Top 25 Most Elite Private Schools. It's called criticalrace.org, a project of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, has launched a new initiative rolling out a database of critical race training at the 25 most elite private K-12 schools. Fox News covered the rollout. The website that features a database of information on critical race theory curricula and training in higher education unveiled a new study Monday focusing on the controversial ideology infiltrating the top 25 most elite K-12 private schools in America. The project indicated that some schools openly admitted to teaching CRT while others are more subtle. Of the top 25 private schools, the database found that 7 had some form of mandatory anti-racism training for students, and a staggering 20 of 25 had some sort of curricular requirement changed based off of anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. or critical race theory. William Jacobson, the Cornell Law School professor who founded the conservative-leaning site Legal Insurrection, created criticalrace.org earlier this year to track how the widely debated concept is permeating U.S. institutions. His new initiative covers the same information as the higher education database with a focus on K-12 learning. So interesting that they're putting the website together. There's a Tucker video on this talking about the rollout of the higher education database. So if you want to read or hear about that, that article will be here also. Let's see, got to wrap it up here soon. And now I guess we're still in a couple more education topics and we'll get out of here. I'm going to skip this one anyway. So apparently some college students are under investigation. They had some stickers that said China kind of sus.
China is asshole.
A conservative group at Emerson College has been suspended and several students are under investigation for handing out stickers critical of the Chinese government, according to a new report from the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, also known as FIRE. Some of the students, or the group was, the TPUSA group was suspended and because they had stickers that China kind of sus. Apparently this is Asian hate, so they're getting in trouble, but they're fighting it. We'll see what happens. They suspended some of the students, and the article's here in the tabs. But I wanted to get to this one here last because I found some humor in this particular one. So everyone's favorite DBs, you can decide what that stands for yourself. The Lincoln Project has an ad against Glenn Youngkin. So in Virginia, the governor's race, Terry McCulloch, former Clinton crony, or still Clinton crony, I don't know. He's a douche. Anyway, he's going up against Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, and the Lincoln Project, who are all conservatives and very all conservative, but they're worried about our democracy. Well, these are all supposedly conservatives, right? Former conservatives, or they're still conservatives, but they're real conservatives. They're not like Trump conservatives. They're not Trumpkins. They're real conservatives. And they put out an ad against Glenn Youngkin.
The content of this advertising.
Hang on a second.
Glenn.
Here, we'll pause this. We'll put this on the screen. So this is the ad they're running against Glenn Youngkin because Glenn Youngkin is a bad dude. So here's the Lincoln Project ad versus Glenn Youngkin. Hang on a second here. Let's play. It's one of these kind of ads. Here we go.
Glenn Youngkin. He is against Virginia schools deciding it's safer to wear masks, even facing a dangerous COVID outbreak.
Okay.
I believe there should not be mask mandates in Virginia.
But when it comes to the safety of his own kids, he sends them to an out-of-state private school.
He sent them to a private school.
Masks for almost $40,000 a year.
Almost $40,000 a year. Oh my gosh, he sends his kids to private school that cost almost $40,000 a year. I've never heard of a wealthy politician doing that.
Glenn Youngkin. He cares about his own kids, but not ours. Glenn Youngkin. There's a reason he's Donald Trump's candidate.
The Lincoln Project paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So the Lincoln Project put out that great ad. My gosh, it's so informative. That dirty Glenn Youngkin who sends his kids to a private school for almost $40,000 a year. How dare he?
How dare you?
Okay, so Glenn Young sends it, and one of the comments to the tweet about this, because this person in the Lincoln Project says Glenn Youngkin opposes mask mandates for Virginia school, yet sends his own kids to an out-of-state private school that mandates masks. Wait a minute. So an out-of-state private school that mandates masks. So did he send them there because they mandate masks, or because they don't, or did they mandate masks after he sent his children there, or did they? But anyway, one of the first comments I saw in here, oh my gosh, from someone named Janice. Don't contact Janice, please. Says, just as an aside, how can anyone who sends their kids to a private school at $40,000 per year each have the slightest understanding of the problems faced by the common man? He's out of touch before he starts, and yet thousands will vote for him and others like him. Oh my God, he sends his kids to private school. I've never heard of a politician or anyone with any money sending their kids to a private school. isn't that a good reason for school choice, by the way? Anyway, now here's the funny thing about this. So she's did that, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. Terry McAuliffe, Clinton crony, very wealthy man, just a lot of money, he says. Wait a minute. Terry McAuliffe has 5 kids. Now, I went and did a Wikipedia search, and it's funny because Terry McAuliffe's Wikipedia page reads like a campaign ad, which is funny because that's just how it is. And in fact, it mentions he has 5 kids, but it only mentions that one of them, went to the United States Naval Academy and is in the Marines now, which is great. I have no problem with that. Good for Terry McAuliffe's oldest child. But I was thinking, wait a minute. So they're complaining about Glenn Youngkin sending his kids to a $40,000 per year private school. How could they have the slightest understanding about the problems faced by common man? And he's out of touch before he starts, and yet thousands will vote for him. Wait a minute. Where did Terry McAuliffe's kids go to school? I replied to this because I thought this was amazing. So this is from an article in somewhere. The McAuliffes, it turns out, sent their children to the private Potomac School in McLean, Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., and the candidate's wife, Dorothy McAuliffe, served as chair of the board of trustees for the school while their children were students. Now, funny about that, too, because remember how Terry McAuliffe was the guy who said that parents should have no say in what the schools are teaching their kids, why they have no business telling the schools what their children should be taught? Oh, his wife served on the board of trustees. I wonder if they have anything to do with what the children are taught in that private school. But let me continue. The annual report published by the Potomac School in 2008 and obtained by Town Hall includes a letter from trustee board chair. Wait a minute, chair? She chaired the board, Dorothy McAuliffe, and later lists the family as having students in 2nd, 7th, and 10th grade. Wait, they had 3 kids in the school at the time? Current tuition at the Potomac School runs from $39,150 for kindergarten through 3rd grade to $45,650 for 9th through 12th grade. While there's nothing wrong with family pursuing the best possible education for their children, it does become problematic when that member of that family runs on a record of vetoing school choice bills and a platform of denying parents the right to influence the education given to their children. And that's what Terry and Dorothy McAuliffe had done. They have 5 kids. Between $39,150 and $45,000, $39,150 a year for kindergarten. Holy shit. Amazing. So I just, that's just how it is. Anyway, so there's the article about McAuliffe. Anti-school choice, Terry McAuliffe, wife chaired a trustee board at kids' private school. There's the article if you want to read it. I find it hilarious, though, that Lincoln Project's bitching about, Glenn Youngkin, his kids went to a private school that cost almost $40,000 a year. Terry McAuliffe had 5 kids go through a school like that. So anyway. All right, let's see here. Let's finish up with a couple of these. I'll leave a couple of articles that I have that are not school related. And if you want to, remember the National Institute of Health director, Francis Collins, is resigning. Did you hear about that? That's like Fauci's boss or something like that at the National Institute. Well, he's resigning because he's got some issues, and he's saying he's doing it because people shouldn't be, leading this institution for more than a certain amount of years, but he has some other issues too, and you can read about that here. And the last one I want to do, though, in San Francisco, apparently they arrested a man accused of stealing school board recall petitions, and it highlights the need for clarity on what constitutes an attack on democracy. Now, that seems like it would be an attack on democracy if you're stealing their ballots. Anyway, a lot has been said about the looseness of California voting laws, but not enough has been said about the willingness of those connected to power to break them. Citizens of San Francisco initiated the campaign to recall its school board because San Francisco Unified was too preoccupied with racial politics to bother to reopen schools. Readers might remember that the SFUSD attempted to rename its campuses under some overarching woke rationale. They angered public school parents by ending merit admissions to prestigious Lowell High. The move is widely seen as anti-Asian because Asian American students are overrepresented in the preparatory academy and because officials had made some racist statements. Among the 3 board members targeted by the recall is the barely verbal Gabriela Lopez, along with Allison Collins, who once accused Asian Americans of using white supremacist thinking to get ahead, and their less distinguished comrade Fauga Moliga. And so on May 30th, 2021, an immigrant father, Matkit Lam, was manning the recall table at Richmond District's Farmers Market together with a local photojournalist, Jenny Shao, when a youngish-looking man with light brown hair wearing a floral mask and nerd glasses and thick red frames, now I don't know if they need to frame him that way, but anyway, walked up to the table, grabbed a clipboard with signed petitions, and ran. Lam gave him a chase, and Shao filmed the incident. Lam caught up with the offender, shouting, "You took the petitions. I saw you." As he tossed the clipboard under a parked car, the perpetrator countered, "I looked at it. I decided I didn't want it anymore. I don't have your shit." Whatever that means. Lam insisted that some of the documents were missing from the clipboard, and eventually the floral mask got them out of his back pant pocket, proceeding to play victim. "If you are preventing me from leaving, I'm going to sue you, so get the fuck out of touching me, or I'll sue you for assault." At the end, the suspect left. The incident was referred to the San Francisco Police Department, which does nothing. Lam and Shao turned to social media help for identifying the thief. Now, if San Francisco had a big anti-Fa president, no doubt the floral mask would have been smarter about wearing a proper disguise. He'd have black jeans and a black hoodie, contact lenses in place of distinct eyewear. Instead, he peacocked his hipster doofus identity. What gave him away were the red flame glasses. Chinese-American writer Jenny Chan looked through some Facebook pages and found the match for a pair of spectacles. She zeroed in on a picture of a youngish white man with oh, of course, it's a white male. Whoops.
You're fucking a white male!
Sorry, white males. I wasn't. That's just typical super woke leftists. But not like my people. You're my people. Hello, infamous one. And then let's see. They found him. He looked very similar to the farmers market ballot thief, and there was a photo taken, but at the Richmond Democratic Club 2019 summer soiree attended by several local elected officials, including Allison Collins and the district attorney Chesa Boudin. The latter is the son of he's the son of the Weather Underground terrorists. 2 biological parents and 2 adoptive, facing not one but 2 separate and just in case recall campaigns. Having identified the red glasses in the soiree picture, Chan located the alleged perpetrator's LinkedIn account, for which, for the first time, put a name to the picture, Jason Kruta. Since then, Kruta removed the photograph and changed his handle to Jason K, but Chan has the receipts. She bookmarked, archived it. The Twitter user who goes by Tack of the looked through the images saved on Kruta's Facebook page. He compared the profile of the alleged thief captured by Shao to profile pictures posted by Kruta, finding an identical mole on the earlobe. That's a pretty darn interesting amateur detective work. Kruta is a member of, guess, Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah. And this is San Francisco League of Pissed Off Voters, the usual melange of the Bay Area commie-ish political organizations. He comes across as a Democratic Party and Bernocrats gadfly, photographed multiple times with their prominent local members. Last summer, he was interviewed by why it's safe to attend Black Lives Matter protests in a mass for an issue of GQ magazine. Since the man was accused of meddling with the electoral process, he has been dismissed from his nonprofit job. I strongly oppose this punishment. Kruta should keep his job and his friends and instead face the criminal penalties described by law if found guilty. One of the purposes of criminal law is to provide transgressors with a way to pay their debts to society without being ostracized. In Kruta's case, in particular, he appears to be unable to hold a job for longer than a year, and his friends won't abandon him over small transgressions like voter suppression for the right cause. Because voter suppression is okay if you're doing it for the right cause. Having said that, Cruda's Democratic Party Conrads need to distance themselves from alleged electoral fraud as soon as possible and unequivocally condemn such behavior. This is not what's happening, and this is not what happened. Curiously, while local politicos were all up in arms about voter suppression in Georgia or demagogued about restoring voting rights to parolees, it's all radio silence when it comes to the attempted destruction of ballots of the ordinary law-abiding San Franciscan. If anything, the affair highlights the urgent need for an election integrity reform like Georgia's. If someone is brazen enough to snatch election documents in broad daylight and in a crowded marketplace where it was virtually guaranteed that someone would pull out a camera and shoot, what is he capable of doing? What is he capable of doing when no one is looking? Socialists, especially those of communist variety, tend to believe that the ends justify the means. A little tampering with the democratic process is a small transgression compared to the murderous Red Terror that followed the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. Nor do they believe that the American system of government is worth preserving. If they see themselves above the rules which we all adhere to as a citizen, why should they obey them? While I can't read his mind, Crude is a member of multiple socialist organizations that do not feel themselves limited by morality codes. So anyway, he finally was taken into custody on September 28th and is being charged with a misdemeanor. Oh, a misdemeanor. And of course, he is presumed innocent, which is how our law works. In the meantime, the San Francisco Socialists apparently received the message that election interference is an acceptable form of political action. In August, a crazed woman with scissors removed a Recall Chasey Bowden banner belonging to a campaign to recall the current San Francisco district attorney and a son of a convicted boomer domestic terrorist. The woman, a Bowden donor who teaches woke values to low-income youth at a nonprofit, has been identified by Jenny Chan. Although her identity is an open secret in the Bay Area, we cannot reveal it at this time. Over the last weekend, a volunteer collecting signatures to recall Bowden was harassed by a group of district attorney supporters. While he was on the phone reporting the offense to police, Bowden's supporters stole some of the signature pages. The incident was not recorded on video, but the narrative circulated on social media. Now, when will we see justice served in a city in the grasp of anarchy where the rich and politically connected like Collins, Lopez, and Bowden get their way? Their foot soldiers are allowed to run amok. Voting is easy around here, and tampering with an election is not a crime if it's done in favor of the left. San Francisco and California might be too far gone to be saved, but it is an example to others. So anyway, don't let your town grow up to be California. Thank you, Baby Vazo. Appreciate it. Sponsoring the show again. What the F is this shit? I swear, in 2021, when I hear nonprofit, I think of, money laundering organization. Yeah, let's call them MLOs. Money laundering. It's kind of funny.
China is asshole.
I had to throw in the China's asshole thing there. Thank you for sponsoring the show again. Yeah, it's almost becoming that. Money. Wait. Hold on. Did I leave this open? There was one tab that I had to see. Oh no. What did I do with it? Hang on a second. I don't know if I can leave without this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to have one more link open. Terry McCullough. The Washington Post gives McCullough 4 Pinocchios for false ad linking Youngkin to predatory dentist. Anyway, where is it? I thought I opened it. Okay, I can't find it right now. Anyway, Hunter Biden apparently is selling some of his art. He's selling some of his art, one piece for $500,000. Someone bought one of his pieces of art for $500,000. $500,000. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Before you click any buttons, please hit a like button. That's the only button you need to click at this moment, okay? And then if you want to share the stream before, during, after the stream, there's the information there. And then also, thank you for our sponsors. If you want to sponsor the show, you can see how to do that down below or during the broadcast or off hours. We're here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 1500 GMT. Now, also before you go, as you know, during the outro, I will be updating the news link in the description down below. You can click one link and all the stories we covered today, plus a few we didn't get to, will be listed on that news link. But if you want to talk about education to your friends, all these stories are here, including the links to the letter from the NSBA and their about page and a lot more about them if you want to get yourself caught up on bullshit. And it'll all be there in the link down below. I will update it during the outro, and I'll let you know when I've done that. So that's it for today, people. Thanks so much. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you to our sponsors today. Let me just go down to the bottom here. Gunfox61, Baby Vaso, Black Hebrew Zero Light, and Maddie. Thank you for sponsoring the show today. By the way, Baby Vaso, you are the Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, time for me to go. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. You have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.